Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Spot On Chess. And today we have the game from round number 6 of the US Chess Championship. Playing white is Hans Niemann against Grandmaster Mishra. Mishra, who had been on a 71-game, no lost games at all. Just draws and wins for 71 games straight, huge streak. Hans Niemann, was he able to break that streak? Here we have an Italian, seems to be all the rage at the top levels of chess these days. And Hans does something very interesting here. He finds a way to get that bishop. Now, if you were to play something like a6, a5, then the pawn structure on that side of the board would get messed up because the knight would capture the bishop. Usually, you want to avoid as white having your bishop captured in a Roy Lopez or an Italian by the knight that was on c6, now on e7. And right here, the bishop pair remains in the hands, the capable hands, of Hans Niemann. And we see both sides going for their setup. There's a nice pawn structure here. Only some pieces have been exchanged. And here, black does get their d5 break in, which is really important. And that bishop goes to d4 now. The dark squares over here are a bit weak. Bit like Swiss cheese. And now the question is asked of the queen. Knight is captured. And now it looks like white is just going to have tons of space, loads of space. But Mishra decides to sacrifice a piece for several pawns. And it looks like he's got compensation. He's got all these pawns for that minor piece. Can he hold on to it, though? This is beautiful right here. The knight cannot be touched. If you touch that knight, you just got mated. That would be the end of the game. So that was the reason for Hans Niemann's move, rook takes. b6 is played, the threat's still on. Now let's get those bishops off. Which piece will Hans Niemann be left with? Will it be the knight or the bishop? Well, it looks like he elects for the bishop here. And we would think this game would be a draw. It's a material imbalance, piece against 3 pawns on the king side for black. And right here, we see Hans Niemann shielding himself with his bishop and destroying the b pawn, the black b pawn on b6, which means he has a passed a pawn now. And that could be relevant. And here we go. There goes one of the black pawns. And here now, obviously, you don't want to take, or this pawn is just going to run in, and that'll be big problems for you. So you have to step back and try and blockade with your king as long as you can. And here there's a check, forcing move. The idea is to blockade with the bishop and then destroy these pawns. The passed a pawn starts its run. And now Mishra only has 1 pawn for the piece, but they are dangerously close to the white king. And this is beautiful right here. All sorts of tricks abound. That pawn is getting 1 step closer. Now if f2 is played, there's an instant pawn promotion, which is why Hans Niemann retreats the rook back to the first rank to prevent said trick. f2, check, king takes, g2, g1 promotes to the queen. Now it would be captured by the white rook, and that would be the end of the game. And right here we have a nice moment where Hans decides to give up the bishop to destroy the threats that black has, and now he gets behind his passed a pawn, and he's got 2 pawns against the king. And here, this is beautiful. The white pawns are far past, and now he's threatening a back rank checkmate, just very elementary back rank checkmate. If king b8, a7, king a8, rook c8, king b7, a8 equals queen, can't do that. So the rook comes back, and now that black rook can't go anywhere. If he tries to threaten anything, the pawn can be defended. The rook comes over to defend his pawn. The pig on the 7th is powerful. And now he comes over here like this because the rook cannot attack. And this is beautiful. If the black rook leaves the back rank, it's an instant checkmate. So he can't. And now it's Hans Niemann with 2 pawns that are dangerously close to a black king, Mishra's black king. Remember, Mishra had been on a streak of 71 games straight without a loss, just unbelievable streak. And now Hans Niemann is finding ways to get his king closer, and Mishra is understanding that his streak is about to come to an end. And the question is, what's the best way to end that streak here? What's the best move for white? What would you do if you were playing or commanding these white pieces as Hans Niemann was? Hans Niemann comes up with a beautiful move, a bit of a showboat. You can stop this video and take as much time as you want. We'll assume you've done that, and we'll take a look at the solution now. He gives up the rook because at the end of it there's a fork, and the king comes over, and now in the game, king b6, and there's just a mate. Like that, checkmate. Bit of showboating. Now you might ask, what would have happened had the king gone over here? Because obviously you don't want to promote to a queen, because that would be stalemate. You could promote to a knight. If he takes the knight, a7, a8 promotes. Come back, and then you check the king out of the corner, and there are no more stalemate ideas. You just promote. Another way one might go here is, let's take a look here. Other way he might go is if you promoted to a bishop, right? So right here, the bishop goes to b7. It's of the right square for promotion. The a pawn, the white a pawn, would land on a white square. And here is how you would get that promotion. Beautiful game, or checkmate in the corner. Beautiful game by Hans Niemann. The game of the round, and we've got some great fighting chess here. We'll look at round 7 in the next video. So many good games to pick from and choose from. It's hard to decide which one to look at. So you should check out the St. Louis Chess Center to keep up on all the latest and greatest in the U.S. Chess Championship. All right, stay well, be well. Peace out.